Welcome back. It's good to have you with us. This is the first podcast of the new year of 2024.
Coming off of a
futuristic year we never thought would arrive is here now.
Coming off of a nice Christmas break. It's been a couple of weeks since we've been able to get together, and I guess, is this officially season 2, or is this like season 1?
We don't do seasons. I'm aiming for like episode 1468.
All right.
That's good.
Just keep it going.
That's good. We've got a long way to go to get to 1,468.
We've got to change some of our habits, because I looked today at the list of episodes, and we're doing good to get 2 out a month. So it's going to take a while to get to 1,000.
Yeah. I'm thinking we won't live to see it. We're going to have to pick that up.
The pace must quicken. You know, I was talking to the teens on Sunday morning about the 10,000-hour rule, right?
Yeah.
You've talked about that before, right?
Gladwell,
and becoming a master at something requires 10,000 hours of like purposeful training. And there's an example about the Beatles and the amount of time that they spent together, and how many they did. Like, it was maybe one place in Scotland that they did
in
like
Germany.
12, it was
Germany all night long, like 7 or 8 hour.
And there were like 1,200 of those events that they did. That started really contributing to their 10,000 hours. So
yeah.
And so we were talking about Bible study, and we were saying, if I was trying to impress on them, start studying your Bible now, right? And took them through that whole thing of, I'll study when, sports ends, and I'll study when I get out of high school, and I'll study when I get out of college, and I'll study, once my job gets under control, or when I get married, or when I have kids, or when I retire. Then you die, and you haven't ever done it, right? Yeah. Pleasant thought of the day. Yeah. But that whole deal was, if you studied your Bible an hour a day, to get to the 10,000 hour rule would take over 27 years, to get to that point. And an hour a day is, that's healthy Bible study. But, and then I used you as an example or whatever, because, I thought about how long you had been preaching, and, you've probably put in your 10,000 hours, I would think. But you get to our 10,000 hours of passages, we may have
a few gray hairs.
Yeah.
If we get to 100 hours, we'll be doing really good.
Yeah.
100 episodes, but I'd love to do it.
I'm wondering if we're going to get through this episode.
I think we're going to master this thing prior to 10,000 hours, though.
I think we're already well on our way.
I'm pretty sure we probably put in close to 10,000 hours in the last 21 years with our witty banter going back and forth.
Right, and Tim, I've been preparing my entire life for this podcast. My whole life has been aiming at this moment.
Well, take it away, Drew.
And you'll see when I share with you what I have for the podcast this evening.
All right.
Next time you're in Colombia, you got to go by and see the new statue.
Wait, Colombia, the country?
The country.
Okay.
Not
you just said next time, like maybe you were talking about Columbia, South
United
Carolina, or something like that. Okay.
Shakira was immortalized in her Colombian hometown of Barranquilla, where officials unveiled a giant bronze statue of the music diva known around the world for her catchy tunes and exhilarating moves. We all remember that Super Bowl.
But isn't it interesting?
Son, look away.
Isn't it interesting that they honor someone with exhilarating music and all these moves with a statue that doesn't move?
Yes, there you go.
Frozen in time.
Or is it possible that it's like a giant bobblehead or something, and it has a little shake to it or something? I don't know.
I wouldn't put anything out at this point. The 20-foot-tall monument depicts the multiple Grammy and Latin Grammy winner in one of her famous belly dancing outfits, with her hips swaying to her right and her arms raised gracefully toward the sky. A plaque under the statue says that on February 2nd, 1977, the town of Barranquilla and the world witnessed the birth of a heart that composes, hips that don't lie, a voice that moves masses, and a pair of bare feet that walk for the good of the children and humanity. You know, guys, I didn't read this article before coming in.
I got nervous there for just a minute. I'm not going to lie. Pronounce the name of the city again, one more time.
Barranquilla.
There we go. That breaks the awkwardness. Now we can
The
keep
statue
going.
located on a recently built promenade along the Magdalena River that runs along the edge of town was unveiled in a small ceremony on Tuesday attended by Shakira's parents and the mayor, Jamie Pumareo. Okay, we're getting in the mayor's name, so I think we've gotten past the lead here.
So it said that it was attended by her parents. Did Shakira
Small crowd.
make the trip?
That is an
good
excellent question.
Is there any pictures of Shakira, I think I said that right, next to the statue?
I do not see that. Also, it's not. I'm just learning. It's not the first bronze statue of Shakira in this town of Barranquilla.
Go figure.
They have another monument that depicts her in her early days. And I don't know why I wanted to bring this up. Part of the reason is I had no idea what I was going to share with you guys tonight.
So how
But I
long?
just think it's absurd.
How long till everyone's favorite Taylor Swift reads about this and has a bronze statue made in honor of
Where's the hometown?
Taylor
I
version?
think it would have to go at this point in Kansas City because she's
I don't know.
favorite.
If Kelsey continues to struggle this much, they may not be in Kansas City
That's
very
right.
much
and then
longer.
They would topple it over
Yeah.
because she has ruined their mojo or whatever.
They would probably cast a statue of her out of bronze. She wouldn't like it, and she would make a Taylor's version,
She'd make her
and
own
it would
version
be her
of
own
the statue.
version, and then release it
and then
to the millions.
Ask all of her fans to never look at the original version
right.
of the statue.
Avert your eyes from the original.
Do you know that because of the... Now, you brought it up. So
I did.
Here we go.
I did.
because of her re-recording these albums, she gets double credit for them. She has... I heard this in passing. I'm not sure exactly how to put it, but she moved past Elvis Presley for longest time of having the number one slot of album of the year on Billboard. Not album of the year, number one album on Billboard. He had so many weeks and she passed it because she's always got a version of an album or a new album out.
And he was never auto-tuned. I just want to say that.
He was not. He did
Just
not
throwing that out
re-record. Well,
But-
I don't know. The Vegas show was kind of a redo of a lot of this stuff.
And they may not have been auto-tuned, but there may have been some lip syncing involved there. I'm not sure.
Oh,
He was not in the
I
greatest.
don't know if we need to get...
He was not in the greatest of condition during the Vegas days.
no one can argue that.
There was a lot of sweat going into that scarf there.
Oh, thank you very much. Scylla, bring me a nanner sandwich.
Peanut butter nanner.
Oh, yeah. Fried bologna sandwich. Peanut butter nanner sandwich.
That's a pretty good Elvis.
Thank
If
you
this
very
preaching
much.
thing doesn't work out, you could be out there marrying people in Vegas one day.
Hey, my hips don't lie. I can do it. I can do the Elvis thing.
Speaking of Shakira.
Shakira.
Back to Shakira.
Now, the only thing to circle back, I want to see the national attention given to the Charles Barkley statue in front of the Leeds High School,
tell you what,
right here in Leeds,
it's a
Alabama.
great statue.
That's
And
at
it's-
least 20 feet, don't you think?
Probably. And it's a
20
great
foot.
pose of him with a basketball, like making a basketball move.
Yep.
Now, it was Charles from his playing days, not Charles now.
It's not the current.
Except Charles right now, I think,
He
is
has-
doing pretty well.
I think so,
I
yeah.
think he's dropped
He's got some kind of
dropped some weight.
he's got some kind of a news show with Gayle King.
Oh, really?
You
Really?
seen that?
No.
I haven't watched it. It's
No, I
been
haven't seen that.
publicized. All right. What else?
We ready to go to another one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
right.
we've
Okay.
bled. the
Every now and
Shakira
again, if
story
you'll
dry.
just throw in the name of the town, that would be perfect.
Barranquilla.
There we go. Definitely will be part of the title of this episode.
It should be.
It's a great. idea.
This is Dateline today from UPI. Boy 13 becomes first to ever beat Tetris for a Nintendo system. A 13-year-old gamer believed to be the first human to ever beat Tetris on the original Nintendo Entertainment System. Willis Gibson, who goes by the handle Blue Scooty online, achieved a feat that had previously only ever been accomplished by artificial intelligence when he reached the 34-year-old game's kill screen, the point where the game crashes because the software can't advance further.
Also, he has no girlfriend.
I think that goes without saying, I believe.
How old is he?
13.
Oh.
And so he was playing Tetris on the NES, and nobody's ever made it other than artificial intelligence to the end of the game.
Well, I mean, not all of us who do that have to go tell the papers
That
about
is true.
it.
I just want just so you have some details here. Gibson's among the competitive Tetris players who use a technique called rolling, which involves rolling the fingers of one hand on the back of an NES controller to push it into their other hand, allowing them to press the directional pad more than 20 times a second. Did y'all ever do that with NES?
No.
Was he using the original square controller
That's a
or
good
rectangular
question.
controller? I don't know.
Is it just blind luck and he's just
No, apparently
gaming the
this guy
system with this move?
Well, I mean, those directions have to be what needs to
Yeah, I
happen
mean,
in
you
the
can't
game.
just get
right?
lucky on that.
And so apparently there's a picture, that goes along with this that shows his score at 999,999. I think that's when he blew it
Broke
up
it.
or whatever, right?
So the thing, Nintendo, I looked it up. The NES came out, it was test launch in New York City, October 18th, 1985.
Okay.
So
And this is
they're saying since 1985, so
this says Tetris is 34
40 years, 38
yeah,
years.
This says
38.
Tetris is 34 years old.
Okay,
it
so
must
in
have come out
34
5
years,
in
they
or something.
think he's the first human to do
First
this.
human to ever do this. Right?
You know, there's someone reading that article today that's like, man, in 1989 or
Right.
1992, I
did it.
beat it.
Nobody,
No one was there to
right.
see it.
And you know what? My brother pulled the plug out of the wall.
Yeah,
That's
right.
When I was going to get my 35 millimeter to take a picture of it or something.
I have a couple questions. First of all, a 13-year-old, why is he still playing the NES?
Yeah. So apparently, competitive Tetris is. Did y'all ever play Tetris?
I did,
mean,
yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
I did not.
I didn't play it on the NES, I don't think. I played it on an app on my phone at some point, maybe.
I don't remember what I played it on.
Yeah. It says Vince Clemente, the president of the Classic Tetris World Championship, said that if Gibson's feat is independently confirmed, he will officially be the first human to ever beat the NES version of Tetris.
Well, let's hope he has it confirmed before, kind of what happened to the skydiving
That's right.
lady.
We know what happened.
At
to her.
13, I think he probably lives to see it
Let's
confirmed.
speed this process up.
All right, so here's what I wanted to ask in relation to this, right? So this prompted a thought. And, for the three of us in this room, we pretty much span the history of video games.
Yeah.
I have in my attic a game system that is probably about, 18 inches by a foot that has two controllers physically on the game system.
Yeah,
and
we
it's
had
a,
that.
And it's a Pong game.
Right.
Right. And so that, that was the start of it all,
Yeah.
the boop, 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 and, from there to now. So I wanted to ask you guys, Jonathan and I were just having like random conversations. I don't know if we were driving down the road and passing time, but I asked him for like his top 5 over the holidays, top 5 video games of all time. So question for you guys is, what was your favorite video game ever? And then the other question after that is, was there a game that sort of was the end of the line for you? It was really the last thing you played with any regularity.
Jason and I know
Yeah.
each other's answers on that second part.
Let me answer the second part
Okay.
for the both of us.
Yeah.
Can we do it at the same time?
I think as embarrassing as it is, we were probably in our 20s. It was
Well,
pre-children.
I wondered if this was going to be
You
the
may
answer.
have been.
Yeah.
You may have been. Let's see. That would have been.
My child
What
was
years
born,
was Barton
I was 30
here?
when Ava was born, and that kind of
Coincide, yeah. So it was mid to late 20s, and the game was Halo. Yeah, Halo. We would go to Barton's house on Sunday afternoons and sometimes on Sunday nights.
before he was married.
Before he was married, and sit in a dark room looking at a tiny little TV and play Halo. 3 or 4 of us would go play, to the point that our eyes would hurt and our wives would call to make sure that we were okay and still alive. I can remember rolling out of his apartment at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night sometimes. Late.
Yeah,
from
it was
playing.
fun.
So I wondered,
was a lot of
I
fun.
wondered if Halo was the end of so
That's probably the last game I played regularly.
I've never touched a
And-
console since then.
since then. And so, my part of that story is they did invite me. I want it to be clear that I was not shunned from this event. They invited me to come over somewhere along the timeline of that period. And, there's two challenges. One is that I was left behind in the dust by video systems probably a couple of generations earlier. Let me just basically say that I did not make it further than a joystick and a button. When controllers began to have, 4 things for each hand, if you know me, you know I can't make a legitimate 3 with my right hand, much less have the dexterity to handle a controller of that nature. And so, so I went over and one time, and I ran into the wall a lot. I blew myself up constantly, and I got motion sick.
Yeah. You turned a shade of green and said, "Guys, I think I'm going to be sick. I'm just going to go home."
Going home.
Is that when you discovered you got motion sickness with big screen
I don't know
action?
I don't know if I've told this already on this podcast, but the thing that got me that made me realize this was I was taking training at work, strike training for the possible job of going to. So I work for AT&T. I think maybe on this, am I supposed to say I work for a large telecommunication provider? So I'm not supposed to say the name of the company or something. I don't know.
Too late.
Anyhow,
Too late for that.
AT&T, and so my job was so I'm in a management position. If there was a strike, I was going to a central office somewhere. And so in a central office, there's, it looks like large bookshelves with rows, and then within those rows, there's slots and there's copper pairs that go into things, and that's basically where the telephone service comes from. And so I was having to learn how to read all that. So like if you get, here's an order, and, Joe's phone service has gone out, and you've got to go find his connection up here and see if, perhaps, the wire's broken or something. So, so there was this virtual training where you would walk into the door, and you walk down this aisle and turn and go look up and down and find the row and find the cable and find the pair.
And it didn't go well?
And about an hour in, I was like, I think I'm sick, because I'd been turning left and right and doing all this. And so clearly Halo was not for me.
No.
I picture that virtual training having like the same graphics as the Oregon Trail circa
you
86,
are right
87.
on.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
I think I was taking this training in 2008.
Yeah.
And it was
Pretty
about that, along those lines. So, okay, so that is where it all ended, right? So
Yeah.
I will say that it ended for me behind that, and I made it to the PS2. Millie bought me a PlayStation 2, but we were actually talking about this the other day as well. She bought it because I liked to play Tiger Woods.
I know the game
99.
you're going to say. Oh, yeah, great game.
And so how do you play it? With a joystick and like one button. Tap, 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 make it go
Back
fast.
and forward.
Make it back up. Make that ball back in. And I liked it because you played real golf courses, and so I played Pebble Beach all the time. Yeah. And so like when the Pebble Beach Pro-Am would come on TV, it was like, I know right where that is. That's on, hole number 17, and it's going down this way, and it's going to, and so it was really cool. So that's where it ended for me. Now, the other question is, favorite game ever, just the one that sort of sticks in your mind. It doesn't have to be like better than everything else, but the one that sort of was the hallmark for
Well, as we answer this question, could we also say which game systems we had? Because mine's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll do that first, and I'll tell you the game I liked. So I had Pong. I was so little, I barely remember that. That was probably more my dad than anybody. And then we did not invest in an Atari because that would have been too normal. We got a TI 99 4A They called it a computer, but it
from Radio Shack, right?
I don't know where it came. Well, Texas
that's
Instruments was right down the road
yeah.
from my house.
Okay, all right.
Or a Texas Instruments place.
That sounds like the calculators we had to buy for school or whatever.
Well, yeah, that's where they made their big money. But this was the competitor for the TI 99.4A was the Commodore 64.
Okay, I had a Commodore 64.
So it was like that. And we just played games on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I had some games I liked, but not my favorite. And then we had what did y'all call it? NES, the original Nintendo.
Right. And that had like Duck Hunt, right?
Duck Hunt came with it. Super Mario Brothers.
Super Mario Brothers, okay.
We got that years after everyone else had one. And then there was the first PC in my house came with some games.
Wow.
But my favorite game was Super Tecmo Bowl.
All right.
To play with my brothers.
Yeah.
And I was the New York Giants every time.
So we had an Atari growing up, and I can't say that it was mine. I'm pretty sure it was my dad's.
Was it a 2600?
It was the joystick and button. I don't remember which one that was.
Yeah.
The first gaming system I really remember was the NES system. And we played a lot of games on it. On it, Major League Baseball was probably the one we played the most of.
Mm-hmm.
But the pinnacle of my gaming was during 97, 98, 99, freshman, sophomore year in college. And NFL Blitz. We played it non-stop. We had tournaments. It was on PS1.
Okay.
And we played it constantly, and then we played NCAA 98 all the time. Mm-hmm. Those two games caused more fights and altercations than anything I remember from college, because they would get very competitive. Like, we'd have a tournament, and I mean, it got ugly sometimes, but I was on the NFL Blitz. I was always the Denver Broncos, and I dominated. If any of my college buddies are listening to this, which they're not, you know I dominated.
Was that John Elway? That's after Elway's time.
I don't even remember who it was. Now, it may have been Shannon Sharp was one of the receivers. I remember that. And it was this bigger than life. It was kind of like the NBA Jam for football, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Wasted a lot of my time that I should have been studying playing that game.
Sure.
So for me was Pong, Atari 2600, which I got, best Christmas present I ever got, 7th grade. Just had come out and was the best ever. And then Millie bought me the PS2. Uh-huh. And that was really it. It really all ended for me really with the Atari 2600. So I had the little crates of those cartridges, right? And I was thinking about those because, for what my favorite game was, I think I'd probably have to just go with Space Invaders because it was the first really good game for the Atari 2600. Mm-hmm. It came along pretty quick. And I played it a ton. Probably played it more than anything else.
Was Missile Command on that?
Missile Command
we
was
played
on
a lot of Missile Command as a young kid.
But
I remember that game.
One of the things I remember about it, because I also liked Frogger, and then later on Donkey Kong was made for the Atari 2600. Mm-hmm. But there were some of those, and I think Frogger was an example of one that was not an Atari game. And so somehow
it was like an arcade game.
It was written by somebody other than Atari, and somehow they were allowed to create an Atari version of that game that would go in the Atari system. And it's like, that's something that's pretty odd. That all these things are pretty proprietary, right? PlayStation makes PlayStation games, Nintendo makes Nintendo. But it was like, I remember like Activision or something made one of these, and so. I don't know if they just allowed people to write, because they sort of had the market cornered for a while.
Yeah.
For a little while.
Yeah. So, anyhow.
Y'all remember the first time you heard a voice speaking through your game system? Double Dribble.
Oh, yeah. That was probably one of the first.
Like, wow, it talks.
It does.
No, that was awesome. And I was also thinking about, with the Atari 2600, and even with the Pong game, how you connected it to your TV.
Yes.
So we had a box in the back that slid up and down.
Mm-hmm.
It had a slider on it, and it's like if you wanted to watch TV, you slid it one way,
Mm-hmm.
and it would just somehow you connected your antenna on 2 screws in that box, and then there were 2 outputs that you connected like the antenna to the back of the TV, and so it would be game on one end and TV on the other end, and then you'd turn it on channel 3 or 4 because there'd be some switch over here because if channel 3 or 4 was a local channel for you, it wouldn't work, right? You get all this interference. You'd have to flip it to the other channel, and so it's just
that brings back a lot.
Isn't that crazy how much that? Because I was telling Jonathan when we were having this discussion the other day, it's like all of that stuff, that's the reason that your stuff looks like a rock concert in real life and all this stuff. It's in those generations of
and in 40 years.
35,
40 years.
35, 40 years. It's come from boop, boop, boop to, basically something that looks like real life.
Well, you don't even get a game cartridge anymore.
Right.
You go on and you download it, and poof, it's magically there, and you're playing it in the cloud.
And one of the most popular games, Minecraft, where it looks like 8-bit technology.
And Jonathan funny enough, when I asked him his top 5, he started with Super Mario Kart,
which is a great game.
And he had Rocket League and Splatoon on there, and he said, I have to change my list. Minecraft's number 1. And I was like,
I don't get it.
I was like, Jonathan, why? And he said, because every time you go in, there's something else to do, and there's something new about it, and I've never even approached it to even look at what he's.
What are you doing, son? I'm digging a hole.
Yeah, digging a hole, building a wall. And it's like,
are there zombies?
What does this mean, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
how do you win?
How
do you win the game?
Yeah, but he put that at the top of his list, and I'm like, it's troubling. I don't know.
That's why we're not rich. We don't understand what addicts young people.
Yeah.
It's definitely the video game system.
We don't know how to hook them in.
And I pick on my kids about playing video games all the time, but I would love to have the hours back that I spent playing video games, probably starting in 95, 96, whenever the PS1 came out, up until I graduated college. I mean, you talk about being a master.
He made the 10,000-hour rule on the.
You became a master.
It's possible.
Esports is
EA Sports.
a thing.
Stay up.
I'm talking about. There's competitive.
Leeds
video
High School,
game sports
right?
now.
They do. They
absolutely has
maybe can go pro.
No. I tried playing a game with the kids, and I was looking up at the sky, spinning in circles, and it wasn't going well at all. So I have something just interesting to bring to the table. It's an article I found right before Christmas, and I thought it would be an interesting discussion to have with all of us. And of course, now I've got to try to figure out where it went. Give me just a minute to get this pulled up. This is not supposed to be. Oh, here we go. So after a Katy family finds batteries in their burger. KPRC2 viewers share the shocking things they've discovered in their food. So this was an article about folks that went to a burger place, like a fast food burger place, and they found 2 batteries in their hamburgers, like AAA batteries, which is an odd thing to end up.
Well, that's not an accident.
No, it's that it. And I think I remember us talking on one of our podcasts early on about at Halloween how our family used to go through our candy and check it for stuff. But what's the weirdest thing you've ever found in your food at a restaurant? Because it happens from time to time. We've all had the fly doing the backstroke in our drink or
a nice long hair.
And I have racked my brain. I don't know. I remember one time finding a caterpillar on the lettuce in a salad. But we had an office Christmas lunch one time, and we were all sitting around eating, and one of the ladies that works with us said, "Oh my goodness, what is this in my salad?" And it was half of a praying mantis. Now I believe we all know where the other half was.
Protein.
Inside her
And so that's
that
one
praying
story
mantis
I can think
had
of.
it coming, though. Those things are vicious.
They are evil creatures. Evil creatures. But have y'all ever had an experience where you've gone to a restaurant and you've got your food, you're about to chow down, and you take a bite and it's like, what is this?
Just a lot of hair. And I'll be honest, there are times when it's so good, I just pull the hair off and just keep going.
I'll tell
I can do it.
Yeah, I can live with a hair.
Because you know what?
A hair to the side.
You've eaten a lot of hair you didn't know.
That's right.
Quit trying to act like your food from the restaurant is in pristine condition. If you
are
want
you
food
people?
without hair, if you want,
what is wrong with you?
if you want food without hair in it, then cook it at home.
If I waited 45 minutes to get this plate, I'm going to wait 45 minutes to get the next plate.
Yeah, but
and I'm hungry.
If your first plate has the hairnet, your second plate may have the hair that was supposed to be held up by the hairnet.
Now, if it was the hairnet, I'm telling you, that's going back.
Now, I got a sandwich, a burger one time. I don't remember where. It's probably one of my favorite fast food establishments that has square patties. I won't name their name, but we all know who we're talking about.
Baconator.
It's great. One time I got it, and instead of there being like cheese on there was some cheese, but there was like the wax paper that goes on the cheese, and that was an odd bite. I had to just
send that one back.
I had to get rid of that.
Well, that'll mess you up because you're going to definitely bite into that,
and it's a
bad
texture. It's a weird.
Yeah.
But I didn't know. I'm amazed as many fellowship meals as we have all shared here, that we've not found more weird stuff in some of those meals.
I found some weird stuff on plates that turned out to be the intended dish for the fellowship meal.
You're like, what is this science project?
Somebody put something that's not food on this plate. No, that's my casserole.
Tim, you made a face like you have a story.
No, it's just, Millie and I have responsibility for fellowships, right? It's part of my deacon responsibilities, and so it's a little ironic that my dream is for there to be no more fellowship meals. Now I want there to be plenty of fellowship, but fellowship meals just
a little
mess
stressful.
me
We're
up.
in the suburbs. I tell you what, you go out in the country, it's a whole different ball game out there.
Munford,
the church fellowship
Munford,
meals.
Alabama, I'd be asking Mama, "Where's your stuff? What ain't Peggy bring today?"
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Man,
fresh vegetables.
I used to try to find my grandmother's dishes and Miss Willie Mae Warren's dishes. Oh, if she made some of the best food.
There'd be some serious fried chicken.
Calf slobber on your chocolate pie.
Oh yeah.
Real meringue.
Some people tell me
they
they
like
don't
my
like
finger.
meringue.
It'd have meringue on it. Yeah, me too.
I love it. And when's the last time you've had meringue on your pie?
It's been a while.
Real meringue. It's been a long time.
But
come on, hot banana pudding like that's been cooked.
Now that
macaroni and cheese like God intended for it to be cooked, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now my wife's grandmother still makes good banana pudding, and it's got the real meringue on the top, and it is my favorite dish in the entire world now. But I didn't think about y'all being in charge of the fellowship. That's a lot of stress.
The congealed salad that's in the shape of that Tupperware thing that you have to flip upside down or whatever. Yeah. I was a big fan of that. That was a staple at Sunday dinner sometimes.
And these days it seems like we get a nice mix of KFC, maybe some Jack's chicken fingers, and then it's like people are like, what do we have in our cupboard tonight that I can make a casserole out of? I'm going there.
We're in the suburb. The women have to work out
Let's
here.
throw some cornflakes on top. It'll make it good.
Onto something. And I know
there's only so much time in a day.
I know you visited places, and so you have data points here.
That is true.
I mean,
because you get a meal when you're the visiting preacher. If you're going, you're going to get a meal if it's a Sunday thing usually.
And let me tell you, it is tough to do church eat church in the country after all that food.
Oh yeah, them cat head biscuits sitting on my chest.
Yeah. It's worth it, but it is
now
hard.
I don't want to say that nobody here at Asheville Road knows what they're doing or anything.
I would never insinuate that,
because I know that everybody on the everybody in the church directory is listening to this, and so whoever you may be, we're not talking about you.
Now, I will say, if it was not for church fellowship meals, I would have never found Camilla Schultz snowy mashed potatoes.
I've had
the greatest mashed potatoes in the world. Nothing tops
really
them.
good.
That's great.
Now,
we used
my cholesterol goes up.
Cassie's recipe.
That's it.
Was that Camilla's?
That's
we used it just the other day.
Another country staple would be somebody's fried pies.
Oh,
somebody'd have some fried pies.
Now we used to have the fried pies here.
We did.
Yeah, we did.
The Lees would bring them.
Yeah. They can't come anymore.
Oh man, they'd also bring them apple dumpling
Sister
things.
Nona Tim's fried pies in Munford, Alabama was a hit. I mean, it was almost like you had to be part of the mafia or something. Hey, come here.
Saved you one.
Right, saved you one over here because like first 10 people in the line would wipe out the fried pies or whatever. So
now I'm gonna have to go home and have a second supper. I'm hungry. We started talking about things in the food and ended talking about heavenly food.
How did this discussion turn positive? I mean, it was like, what's the nastiest thing you've ever found in your food?
Well, I'll tell you
instead of talking about Band-Aids and fingernails, we're on to meringue pie. And
I'll tell you how. We are experts at the podcast. That's how.
That's right.
And at food.
Yeah, I'm definitely an expert at food. You can look
at her
at me
10,000 hours in on all that.
That's true.
All right, we are ready for our quote for this episode of Passages, and tonight's quote comes from Ralph Waldo Emerson. So, 19th century writer. Did just a tad of research today about him. So he was a transcendentalist, I think, or something like that. He believed he looked for God in nature. I think
that's
is some of the
kind of what I found.
Basic of that. I did also find an interesting point. He went by Waldo, right? So
I saw that we read the same Wikipedia article.
Or maybe
do you have Wikipedia?
I have Google, and so I'm sure that's where it was referencing.
Is Wikipedia like Compton's Encyclopedia? Is it?
I bought a set of Wikipedias. Did I get
from a door-to-door salesman?
Did somebody pull the wool over my eyes? Is that free?
Oh, me. All right, here is tonight's quote. Enthusiasm is one of the most powerful engines of success. When you do a thing, do it with all your might. Put your whole soul into it. Stamp it with your own personality. Be active, be energetic, be enthusiastic and faithful, and you will accomplish your object. Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. So I don't want to. So this was my contribution to our quotes, and I don't want to leave you with the thought that I do a great deal of reading of Emerson. That would be far-fetched. I heard a sportscaster make a reference to this quote, and he said that basically he carried it around in his briefcase with him, and he said that this meant a lot to him. It had been something that he had read, and it stuck with him, and he made the comment that if you encounter people who are just too cool to really care about anything, we've all met those folks, right? Just so
cynical,
cool,
and
right?
Nothing's worth anything.
Right, exactly. That basically, he said, don't waste your time on those people. He said, those people are not going to. They're not going to reach any kind of level of success. He said, talent. Some people have talent, and some people don't. But the enthusiasm that you exhibit toward whatever it is in life is going to make the determination of what you do with what you have. And you may have all the talent in the world, but if you have that attitude of, I don't really care about anything, or nothing's really important to me, or nothing's really important at all. Enthusiasm's a real driver of us being successful at anything.
Yeah. I like the idea that you can turn this on or off.
Yeah.
Because, and I've been thinking about this a lot because I'm teaching attitudes on Sunday mornings. And the biggest objection to attitude adjustments is, well, I don't really have a choice in how I feel. And Emerson's saying here, you can turn this on. You can be an enthusiastic person.
Yeah.
There's something wrong in you that you can fix, or maybe it's just a determination. I'm going to quit being so cynical and negative, and I'm going to start looking at worthwhile things as worthwhile. Because there are things that have value in this world.
Well, and feelings can deceive you. Feelings can lie. Feelings can be false. And I like the idea of he's basically saying take action. Whatever you do it with all your might. Put your soul into it. Stamp it with your personality. Be active. Be energetic. I mean, these are all active terms. They're not sitting back being passive. And as you read it, Tim, I thought, man, if I were to wake up every morning and put on this type of an attitude and put on some enthusiasm and then go to work with that, man, how much different would my day be just on the side of I'm carrying a positive outlook instead of the, oh, man, I got to go to work today, which is what a lot of us do. We have great jobs. We enjoy what we do. We're going to be doing them for a while, but we do have this tendency to kind of just be like, oh, ho-hum, here we go again. And instead of going in and saying, man, I got an opportunity to help people. I got an opportunity to do this or to do that and show some energy with it.
Today can be the best day I've ever had, right? I can do something really important today. I can, try to positively impact somebody else. I can try to bleed this attitude over to others.
Yep.
And so much of it, we can just, let another day happen to us and act like we don't really care.
Yeah.
Well, and so much of it is making a choice before you get into the day, too. Because when you get into the day and bad things start happening, if you've already made a choice of, I'm going to be enthusiastic, I'm going to be positive, I'm going to be energetic, I'm going to be active, I'm going to put my whole heart and soul into what I'm doing, how you respond to negative events is going to be a lot better and a lot different than it is if you wake up with the, oh no, what's today going to bring? Which is kind of how I live most mornings.
Yeah, but I like how you were describing getting yourself energized again. You did something there. You said something like, my job helps people.
Yeah.
You get that enthusiasm by reminding yourself of your why, your motivation.
Yeah, exactly.
Why did I start this to begin with? Why am I in this job? Do I really have to be doing this job? No. I don't have to be doing anything that I'm doing. I chose it. Why did I choose it? And, just by reminding yourself, you don't have to do anything. You get to do what you're doing. And you can change what you're doing if you really want to. And that's what it's all about, is finding your motivation, remembering your motivation.
Right. I don't know about y'all, but I grew up on some scriptures coming out of, in particular, my mom's mouth, right? And so, there were things that you heard over and over and over, and y'all probably have some of those as well. And one of those, basically comes, I think whether Emerson really realized it or not, he was quoting Ecclesiastes 9, that says, whatever thy hand findeth to do, do it with all your might, right? And so...
it also sounds like Colossians 3:23. Do it heartily as unto God, not unto man.
Right.
And whatever you do it heartily as unto God, not unto men.
Right. And I think I've told you guys before, the guy I worked with that's retired now, that I shared a cubicle wall with for a number of years, had that, an 8x11 just printed off a PowerPoint slide version of that verse on his wall. And it's like, that's a good one, because it's like, we all work for God, whatever our trade is, and that's the point he was making by what he was displaying there. Is, we can all, if we just look at what the people around us are doing, sometimes they're going to disappoint, and sometimes we're not going to agree with the direction. It's not going to be what we would have done if we get to run everything, and but if we think about, we all work for the same boss, and that's God.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of changes everything. Now, this whole thing, this verse about whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might, I think brings an interesting challenge to us as well. And this quote said the same thing. When you do a thing, do it with all your might. If you take that out to its full extent, it feels exhausting, right? Whatever you find to do it with all your might. It's like, good grief, that's unattainable. I think there's something here also that says, sort of limit the things you do, right?
Simplify.
And so we talked about that a lot during COVID, right? How when our life got simple, we talked about, well, this is terrible. We can't be around each other, except for those of us that snuck over to the church building and hung out together. But but just being the simple life was great, and we were sort of forced into that simple life. But just this whole idea of you can't do a million things with all your might. You've got
so you shouldn't do a million things.
You shouldn't do a million things, right? You should do 100 things or 10 things, or you should. Part of having enthusiasm in your life is determining what are the important things I need to focus my energies on, and then put your energies into them, right? Yep. Act like they're important because you've chosen them, so they are. You've placed importance on them.
Yeah.
It's not just like, well, every corner you turn around, you got to hit it at 100 miles an hour. No, nobody can do that. You're going to end up being, completely burned out, and that's a detractor from enthusiasm.
Well, and if you're struggling with trying to figure out what those things are that you do well or that you're enthusiastic about, start paying attention to how many things you go, oh no, how did I get involved in this? And when you find those things, if they're not critical to your life or to the health and life of somebody else, drop them.
Yeah.
Because
or
we all
delegate them.
Yeah, we all.
You might be in a position where it's something you don't have to do.
Yeah. One of the best pieces of advice I got ever in practice was, I don't even remember if it was a consultant. I think it was, or at some conference. The guy handed out a sheet of paper of all the tasks that have to happen from when a patient walks in the door to that patient leaves the office. And he said, I want you to go through and circle everything on that list that you're required to do by your license. And so out of a list of just single space, multiple columns, it was like 5 things. He said, focus on those things, find other people to do the other things.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you will find that you don't burn out when you do that. And I'm a controller. I have a hard time doing that sometimes.
I'm terrible at that.
That's on me. But so often, if we just take time to do the things we're enthusiastic about and put our efforts and energy into positive things, man, it changes our outlook on so much. And not pay attention to how people respond to them. Because sometimes I get caught up when I'm enthusiastic about something and I walk into a setting where everybody else is not.
That'll sap your
Way
enthusiasm.
too often I let their lack of enthusiasm take it away from me.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just saying, you know what, I'm not responsible for how these people react. I can only control how I react and what I'm doing. And I'm going to choose to remain enthusiastic.
And I think if you can do that, your enthusiasm will end up being contagious.
Yeah, it will be.
It will not just fall on deaf ears. You may not convert the world to your energy in something, but you'll convert someone.
And you'll find the people that are most interested in helping.
That's right.
And the ones that are going to be the workers.
Right. And that was the whole point of the person who was quoting Emerson that I heard. It was talking about, where do you invest your time? Don't go investing your time in people who don't care. Mm-hmm. Now, there's a lot of different ways to take that, right? And so, when we're talking about trying to share the gospel with people or whatever, I mean, some of that is, helping them establish that desire and that care. And so that's a little different, right? But when we're just talking in general about, where are you going to devote your energy, and where are you going to invest in others and try to help people grow? You need to do that where it's most fruitful, and that's where people care, mm-hmm. right? And it's not always where there is the greatest talent, but give me care, and the care is going to take you as far, if not further, than the talent ever will.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also think that as we age and as we gain skills, the same things aren't going to continue to enthuse us. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. That's natural. We need to grow with our skills and interests. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to use Tim as an example here. When I first moved to this church, Tim was in charge of VBS, and there was nobody more enthusiastic about Vacation Bible School than Tim Layton. He put hours into that thing. And every year, Tim was trying to think of how to make the next year better. But you got to the point where you were ready to do something else, And it's not... I think in some ways your enthusiasm for VBS has waned. Not your consideration of how important it is, but it's just that you've kind of outgrown that role, and
right.
there's other things that you would like to do.
Right.
And so we're always adjusting our tasks and our opportunities to our growth to keep ourselves enthused.
That's right. And I think that, one of the things that we need to do, if we hone this in and talk about church work a little bit, right, is the church has a history of burning people out, right? And not of anybody's fault. It's just sort of the way things happen, right? So, you teach the nursery class, and, all of a sudden 30 years later, you're still teaching the nursery class. Now, that doesn't happen at Asheville Road. I think Asheville Road, does a good job of getting people in and out of classes and things like that. But I'm talking general, right? I mean, we probably all could quote somebody, that taught a Bible class for 30 years. I did Vacation Bible School for, 25 or so. And you're right. You get to the point where, I got to the point where what I wanted to see was, I think I'm not tricking myself by saying what I wanted to see was Vacation Bible School, which is, something that was near and dear to my heart for a long time, continue to be successful and even get better, but with me having a reduced role in it. Mm-hmm. It's sort of, John Maxwell talks about the law of legacy, and that you're not really a leader if when you leave something, it falls apart.
Yeah.
And I know all of us have heard people say, nobody can do this like you, Jason Pullum. And when you walk away from it, we don't know what we're going to do. And they say that with good intentions, but that's a bad thing, right?
Right. That's when you should say, then I have failed.
Right.
That's right.
And so,
because your goal should be to work yourself out of that
That's
position.
Right. Exactly. And
training others to do your
But
position.
for that function, to have the possibility to be just as good or hopefully better than ever, right? And so, these situations where we see, a magnificent preacher leave a church and it crumbles, that's a failure, right? Maybe not a failure of that preacher, but a failure of maybe a lot of leaders or whatever. I mean, I think it's going to be very interesting, completely another direction, right? What happens when Nick Saban leaves University of Alabama? Because he's very much about leadership, right? And so when Bear Bryant left Alabama, there was a real dip, right? And there were some rough years there. But I think he is a lot about the law of legacy. And so, some leaders really want to see, you're gonna love me even more when I'm gone, right? You're gonna appreciate me when I'm gone because this place is going down the toilet, but I think so. What he does, does he handpick a successor? Does he put his blessing on them? That kind of thing to try to allow success to continue. That applies to all of us, right? And it's like, and that requires an adjustment of the ego, right? Because you have to think about, well, what really am I trying to accomplish here? And it's not just for somebody to pat me on the back today and say, you're doing a great job. But for the three of us at this table, I mean, one of the things that's becoming more and more important to me is, what is Asheville Road going to be like when I'm gone? And I want it to be strong and full of people, full of spiritual growth, full of love, full of kids. I want this place to continue on. I don't want this to be one of those churches that gets old and dies, and a lot of that has to do with just the way that we pass things on, right? We need to be bringing people along with us for the ride, encouraging them, hopefully developing the enthusiasm we have about something in them, and making sure that most of all in a lot of this, it's not about us, right? It's about, in all walks of life, there's greater things than us, and you're not really successful if you walk away from something and just watch it burn to the ground.
That's right. And we're at the stage in our lives where we'd like to do something new, getting back to the enthusiasm. It's hard as you grow to do the same job. And I'm saying this, I've been at my job 23 years. You've been at your job longer than that.
35, yep.
You've been in your practice now for
almost 20
a long
years.
time. And, that's that 20-year mark where you start thinking, do I want to go to my grave doing this? And in a lot of ways, as a preacher, I do, but I'd like to do different things. Some of the things that I do now that I didn't do in the beginning are like these podcasts, and I know that we may not have struck on the format that's going to change the world or anything, but this is a new thing, and it's fun, but it's also challenging. It might help some people. For me, writing is a new way to reach a different audience and challenge my mind and adapt to what's going on in my life. And I'm looking for other things too. Yeah. And it's just part of being this age.
And it's part of continuing to grow, right?
Right.
Because
it's not
if we don't
the fault
being,
of the enthusiasm.
Not being complacent.
That's right.
That's right.
I mean, and
because when you grow, you should change, or that enthusiasm's going to go away.
It will. You just can't do the same thing for your whole life and keep a level of enthusiasm about it. And it may be that I've been in my job for 35 years. I've done different things along the way. What do I find accomplishment in now? Really more just trying to help people, trying to be a contributor, trying to help folks with their attitude about things, that's more of where I get my payback, in gratification in my job now. I don't worry about promotions anymore. I'm good where I am, and I'm happy with that. And the path has been good to me. But you got to decide, where is your journey going, right? And I don't think you can be enthusiastic if you're not intentional in, here's a new way I can grow. Here's how I can improve. Here's a new way I can do this, even if you're still doing the same stuff in the large.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can.
You just got to continue to find things that bring you joy in what you're doing, and find ways to share that joy with the people. Like, we have a lot of interns coming through now, and have had 20, 25 over the last few years, and I get asked a lot, why do you have interns in? It's kind of fun showing these poor students that are coming out of UAB that have been beat down by professors in the system and made to think they're less significant than the next, and just show them, hey, it's kind of fun to be in practice. Let me teach you how to interact with people. The schools taught you how to be an eye doctor. Let me teach you how to have fun. Let me teach you how to talk to patients. Let me teach you how to talk to staff. And I'm not great at it. I'm not a great manager. I'm trying to work on some of those skills. But it's fun. And, does it get in the way sometimes? Yeah. Do the interns slow us down sometimes? Yes. But I enjoy being able to share some of that real-world knowledge.
And you're contributing to their future, right?
That's right.
I mean, all the book stuff and all the medical stuff that they had to
They've
get,
learned all that stuff.
That's important. But just as important is what we were all challenged with when we walked out of college or medical school or whatever is, what do I do with this?
Well, and the whole work-life balance of, at the end of the day, I don't want to be known as Jason the eye doctor. I'd much rather be known as Jason the Christian, Jason the friend of Tim and Drew, Jason the husband of Cassie, Jason the dad of Taylor and Sam. Those are the things I want to be defined about. And if my job defines me, then I'm not living life with all the priorities I need anyway. And that's why it's easy to lose enthusiasm, I think, sometimes, as you lose that focus on what is the important thing.
You said something really important there when you were talking about all those different roles. And, I don't think we ought to leave this discussion about this quote on enthusiasm without the fact that if we don't show enthusiasm in the things that we do, those kids that we're training, whether we are trying to train them or not, they're watching us and they're following our lead. And if nothing matters to us, nothing's going to matter to them. And so, that way that we go about our lives, no matter what we're doing, if we're going out and, you name it, working at McDonald's, be the best, you can be working at McDonald's. If you're cutting a yard, be the best you can be at cutting a yard. Or if you're doing brain surgery, be the best you can at that. It's, live your life with enthusiasm. It's going to make you better at what you do, and it's going to be a more fruitful life. And it's what God wants you to do.
And there's going to be days where you wake up and you don't feel like being enthusiastic. Your feelings are saying anything but enthusiasm. But you choose the action over the feelings. And a lot of times if you wake up and you start acting enthusiastic, whether you're truly enthusiastic or not, the feeling is going to follow.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I'm excited about this new year. I'm excited about getting this rolling, and you can help us out, listener, by sharing this with a friend. You can give us a rating, or even better, write a review on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, Audible. I think those are the formats we're on. You already know that, though. If you're hearing this, you've been listening to us for an hour on some format. So just go over there and hit the little rating button. 5 stars is what you're looking for. And write us a little review, and that'll help get the word out. Most importantly, tell your friends about it. Even more important than that, stay excited about Passages, the podcast. Keep your enthusiasm up enough to listen to us next time, because we're going to be back in about a week. So stay tuned.